about 3-4 months later, I saw the same lady. The transformation was phenomenal.
Hi there and welcome. In this video I have Bertie Le Roux with me, and Bertie, I wanted to ask you, in the previous video we discussed brain profiling, and you said a very interesting thing. You said in the brain there is 8 different dimensions. Can you explain what that is and how does that work?
Yeah, I would like to start way back in time, sort of look at Dr. Kobus Neething's history. We came from, and he's over and above the fact that he was a very good rugby player, a scrum half for that matter, and as a matter of interest, he was my high school teacher. But he moved from that into college as an educator, a lecturer, but then he started dabbling in creativity. And those days it was understood that, and people were commonly referring to it, that right brain people, or certain type of people, are just more creative than others. And that interested him. So he did a lot of studies, and today Dr. Kobus has got many degrees. He's written many books. He then at some time went to the United States and studied under and with Professor Paul Torrance, and they developed the whole brain thinking, because they came to the realization that there's more to creativity than just thinking that some people are more creative than others. Today we understand, like me, right brain, a lot of things in the air. So I've got a lot of projects going simultaneously. So obviously, as you look at what I'm busy with, I just look more creative, because I've got each of those things where I might be doing something creative. And the left brain guy is very much more focused, few projects, and to a certain extent very tunnel visioned. But within that tunnel, he's as creative as I am. He's just got less projects. So that's where the whole thinking started, and they started to develop then in terms of the left brain, right brain, started thinking about to the 4 quadrants, L1, L2, R1, R2, the R for right obviously, and L for left, and created that. But then they said, we can now do an analysis, and through questionnaires say, you're right and I'm left, or 2 people are left. But they came to the realization that we are both right, but we differ. So there's more to it. And that's where they started creating the concept of the 8 dimensions. So that within each of those quadrants, so you're a realist or an analyst as an L1. And the realist and analyst, in terms of their thinking preference, is a little slightly different. They come there together, but there's a different approach from the start as an L1. And so each of those quadrants are different, and you can actually pinpoint. And when you do that, you get the whole brain concept and the idea what my profile look like, but it tells me what percentage of that quadrant am I an analyst or a realist. And that answers certain questions. And then the differentiations come into there.
Awesome. Can you go a little bit deeper and just break those different quadrants up for us? You said on the left L1 there's realist and analyst. Can you go a little bit deeper into more detail on the other ones as well?
Okay.
And what's going on there?
Yeah. So if we go to the L2, in the L2 we talk about a stalwart. That means it's people that prefer and are comfortable with stay within rules and regulations and a company following that. And they are also organizers. So we talk about a stalwart and an organizer as an L2, the 2 basic principles that apply there. So in that quadrant is actually where the works get done and the deadlines get met and all those kind of things. Those are the kind of accountants comfortable in that area. So if you come to that kind of person's desk, you will see absolute order. And every day is the same. Before they go home, everything's at absolute in place. And tomorrow it's the same. And if a cleaner comes and messes up the table, it's chaos. Unacceptable. Okay. That's the left brain. As I say, that's fact, figures, language. Those are strengths. And if you look at kind of jobs, it is the specialist, the accountant, the IT, and the engineers, and certain architects, town planners, on that end of the spectrum left. On the right brain, we start with R1. We talk about innovative thinking and strategic thinking. Those are two elements that is important there. Those are the dreamers. Those are guys that build the castles in the air and come up with these absolute concepts and ideas that nobody has thought about. Later on, we will talk about a little bit about vision, because I'm passionate about that concept of vision. So to create a future state for your organization. And those are more or less the guys on the right that find it easier to live a life in the future. That's Woodstock and the Flower Children. We know them. And so those are those kind of guys that see the future, can understand the principles of not being grounded and not having facts and figures to drive life. There's life after, taking chances. Okay, and then the R2 is the more that's while R1 are both emotive. The people component lies in R2. So there we talk about social and being empathetic. So empathy and social lies there. In other words, comfortable one-on-one empathy, more than that, and social means many, party, enjoy big groups. While both of them enjoy people, one's more comfortable with small groups, more closer relationships, more in-depth than the others, but both of them, people are important. So when you then look at the four quadrants, L1, L2, R1, then you will understand that the L2 down here and the R1 is opposites. So while the R1 enjoy chaos and less structure, less rules, that drives the L2. So those two, to a certain and their thinking preference, are in competition with one another. So if they sit in the same boardroom, they can get into each other's hairs often if they don't understand the concept of whole brain thinking. And similar when we talk about L1, where we talk about realist, analyst, because the job need to get done irrespective. Whilst R2 says the job can only be done through people, by people. You have to take cognizance of people. And their emotions, it's not just hiring, firing. But they don't care. The job is more important than the people. So now you can understand the whole brain thinking inside the boardroom and inside the leader's thinking preference when you come and try to convey a new course of thinking and a direction for the organization. We need to have that Bosbarat. We need to get together and have strategic thinking. And I will talk about concept of vision and the creation of the vision inside the boardroom and how we do that to bring in the whole brain thinking in the organization so that we can create that future state. Okay? So, because I mean, I talk about vision as the imagined reflection of your perceived future. Imagined reflection of your perceived future. Now you can understand, you throw that in the pot, call it the whole brain thinking, how people react. Because the left brain need to see it, the right brain need to feel it, because they start living it already once you start talking about it. Different approach.
Once we've done, you've broken up the 8 dimensions of the whole brain approach, and obviously what people need to do is actual profile. Can you share with us, once you've done the profile and you know exactly where you fit in and where everybody else fits in, what do we do with all this information?
It's actually an important question, because everything that we learn, we will store and we're going to apply it. And we must understand that we live a 24-hour day. So there need to be work-life balance. And if we understand the brain profiling then you understand how important that work-life balance is. Because there's certain things that guides us, and maybe an explanation. Let me use an example of a lady that was a PA of a very large organization. And I knew her when I worked for that organization many years back. So I came there one day, and whilst he was talking to me, he burst out in tears, explaining to me how the changes in organization and the politics, and not just corporate politics, outside politics in terms of employment, equity, and so forth, that she can't get, and she will never get an increase. That the people around her is nasty. It's not nice to work there, and she's got had all these dreams, and none of them has materialized. Every day she comes in here and she's just upset, negative, and all these bad things about her. At that stage, for her, realistic expectations, but the company's view is she's got an unrealistic expectation, considering where the company is from a global and an organization, a political point of view. I listened through it, and there comes a point, and I ask her, so what do you love doing? What are you really passionate about? And she started explaining how she loved dealing with people and help people and all those kind of things. And without having done a brain profile for her, I explained to her why she's acting the way she is, and what she should change and try and change in her life. And which I said to her, go and find a place, whether it's a soup kitchen or a visit to the hospital, hospice, whatever the case may be, where there's organizations that you can help people, whether it's Rotary or anything that people are focused helping other people. Find a place, because that will satisfy her R2. She's in a desperate need to do that. She's a single mother, so she has to drive the left brain component to look after a job, because it's important. As a single mother, what if she loses a job? And at that stage, that was close, because she's not fun to be with. Long story short, about 3-4 months later, I saw the same lady. The transformation was phenomenal. Over and above the fact that she found a place where she could go after work and just do those kind of things that she was passionate about, that filled her up and satisfied her need, social need. She came to work, she started coming to work thinking about what's going to happen this afternoon. So that positiveness of what happens in the afternoon started creeping into her life and pushed out the old negativity, because she started living even the mornings in the afternoon, but understanding what she's passionate about. And that's the whole brain concept, to understand what you're passionate about. So that positiveness came into her life, and unknown to her, everybody starts seeing it. Everything that she was angry about she's not getting, she got and more. Increase, promotion, job satisfaction, appreciation. I could go on. She became a different person by only understanding that I can't lose my job. I've got a responsibility to my kids. That's an L2 thinking preference or thinking pattern. But I need to live a whole life. And she brought the afternoon into a whole life, and she got a whole life balance. And that's where the profile comes in. It is actually, my point of view, extremely simple and easy, because the moment you understand yourself, you understand even your family, you even understand your mother-in-law, because you understand where they come from. They're different to you. Nobody can be the same. There is nobody like me. I'm born unique. So just help me out there. Do the brain profile, or a profile of any matter. Just understanding the concept that I must face the facts other people are different to me. I can't change them, but I can change me. So I can talk the language, and all of a sudden there's effective communication, and we love being with one another, because I don't have to fight to get my story across, and it's all power play muscle. You don't need that. Effective communication. Speak their language.
Awesome. We got a question for our audience for today.
Like the example. The question and the challenge to you is, if you're not happy where you're at and where you are in your life, just go and spend some time in front of the mirror to understand who you are and identify what you love doing, what energizes you and what doesn't, and start doing more of those. And find ways to do this more effective because you understand what it is and why you don't like to do that. So that's my challenge and that's my question to you. Just do that. It's easy. You'll see people out of completely different eyes.